Hello and welcome to the Soul Diary podcast. I have a very special guest today and a very dear friend. Her name is Kat, the Lightworker. Welcome. How are you?
Oh, thank you so much, Alla. I'm so well, and thank you so much for doing this, especially during this crazy time of the
I
year.
know it's crazy, isn't it? We just had Christmas, Boxing Day yesterday. I can imagine everyone doing all those crazy shopping sales, and big part of it. I don't know. Anyway, but a little bit about you. So you're this beautiful light worker. Can you see this amazing energy, everybody? Like, have a look at this glow around her. You're also a spiritual intuitive and a healer. And you've been, for the past 2 decades, you've been shifting between the corporate world and serving the spirit world. Tell me, when did you first feel that you had your awakening?
Okay, so Alla, it all began 31 years ago when I was giving birth to my son, George. Um,
Wow.
I had what you would call a near-death experience.
Wow. That's
And
insane.
yeah, so basically, once they revived me, I could see energy around everyone in the operating theatre. So everyone had a
How,
different.
how overwhelming. Like, did you actually understand what was going on?
I had no idea. I was at the age of 20, so I didn't even know what giving birth was, let alone what energy was.
Wow.
So when I went home, I was initially telling the doctors, I'm witnessing energy around everyone. Everyone has a different color. And they basically were telling me that I was having a pretty bad migraine. So I sort of went with what they were saying.
Well, you didn't know any better, right?
I
You
didn't.
you haven't had your awakening. I mean, you had it just then, but you never had any connection, anything spiritual before. Is that right? At all?
I felt like I was gifted. I would always have like these profound dreams, but nothing would
Ah,
eventuate.
okay. All right.
But I feel like that was my pivotal moment where I actually had my first real spiritual experience, so to speak.
Wow.
And so I go home with a newborn and becoming a mother and everything else that comes with it. And I'm having these really profound prophetic dreams throughout the night, waking up in cold sweats and not knowing what they all meant and what was going on. And then a few days later, the dreams would actually transpire into reality. So I knew that something had altered, but I didn't really know what. And back
Mhm.
31 years ago, spirituality wasn't something that was really talked about.
Yeah. Oh,
Um,
it was you cuckoo, crazy, psycho. I don't know. What other words are there?
I think I've been called everything under the sun, but that's okay. I sort of stepped back and started working on myself. I did start doing a lot of reading and understanding of what energy was, what frequency was, what vibration was. And I soon learned that humans are made up of more than just a physical body. We're made up of frequency, energy, and vibration. Then that led me on to a good 10 years of becoming a healer myself, learning many, many different types of healing modalities,
Amazing.
Reiki, pranic, color therapy, worked a lot with crystal bowls, and any kind of healing. I was there.
What's your pull more towards out of those?
So I've combined many of those modalities
Mm.
and created my own, so to speak. I believe we heal on very different levels, and it depends on what the body needs and is craving for at that point in time. It could be through sound, it could be through hands-on, it could
Mm.
be through medicine and working with doctors, and I definitely encourage that.
Yes.
If someone comes to see me and they have some sort of illness and sickness, we work in collaboration together. I do not work
Yeah.
alone.
100%. You never ever like disregard medical advice and you
Absolutely.
always go see a doctor no matter what a psychic tells you, always for that validation or to get checked up. Yeah, I always say that.
Absolutely.
People
I mean,
don't.
my daughter's a scientist, so she's in that realm. So I would be the first to encourage that.
Mm.
Yeah, and it's been going from there, I guess. So
You've had this amazing journey just going up and helping people all around the world. So you've been doing absolutely amazing. Kat, I want to ask you a question. So there's a lot of different names that people call those who are spiritual. So we've got psychics, we've got mediums, we've got spiritual workers, we've got light workers. Could you explain for those who are unfamiliar with that term what a light worker is?
So, really interesting question because I never wanted to brand myself an actual name. And I called myself a light worker because I dabble in all of those modalities that you've just spoken about. So I heal, I read, I channel. So I thought, what do I actually call myself? So I've called myself a light worker because I don't like to limit myself.
Mhm.
And I guess that's why I call myself a light worker. So I'm here to actually work with humans through the light.
Yeah.
And that's the best way I can explain what I actually do.
I love it. Look, being in this realm, this career, so to speak, it's very challenging. There's a lot of challenges that we face, and we could sit here all day talking about all the challenges that we face. What, like, with some of the challenges that you face, how do you navigate it? Like, what do you do when your energy has been poked at or prodded? And I'm trying to use really nice words here, if you know what I mean. But sometimes even being in our industry, even we sometimes find it hard to have our energy completely protected, even with everything we do, because there are all different types of energies, ranging from very light to very potent. So when you feel it's being penetrated, how do you navigate that?
Look, I have evolved. I'd like to say that. 53 years old now, and so I've been doing
Oh
this
my
now.
God, I thought you were like 35.
Alla.
Gorgeous.
I've been doing this work for a while now, so I've learned to adjust with energy. And look, sometimes people are not as open or as evolved at our vibration, and
Mm,
so their understanding it can be coming through as fear-based more than anything else. And so now I've just learned to sort of step away
yeah,
and
pull
allow
back.
people to process what they need to process.
Mm,
Um, that's the best way I've been able to navigate through that, and so
mm,
that I don't let it impact me or affect me.
yeah. How do you navigate those clients that are super, they want a reading, they come to you for it. And like, this is a discussion we're having because I've experienced this as well. And this is a great thing to discuss, but they're coming kind of closed off. So it's almost like they want you to almost like guess what's going on. And and I've said this before, we're not magicians. We don't need to play guessing games. Come to us with what you're after, with what guidance. How do you navigate those who like kind of come in, like this, arms crossed, closed off, um, and don't say much?
I feel I set the expectation quite clearly at the beginning of every session.
Hmm.
For me, I always tell them that the spirit world will give you what you need and not what you want. And
Beautiful.
sometimes we come in with expectations. I mean, I have a session once or twice a year myself, and I always walk away thinking, "Oh, interesting what I got," because that's not what I thought I would get. But and that's what I always say to my clients: you're going to get what you need and not what you want, and you'll understand it as the time evolves, and as things evolve in your life, you'll understand it then. You may not understand it in the now because there is no time and space in the world of spirit, but you'll
Yeah.
understand it when you're meant to.
Mm,
So it's great when they do record and they can reference back, or they do write things down so that they've got a reference point to go back to.
yeah.
And I think if you set that expectation right up front, then your client is fully aware of what to expect.
Yeah, I agree. How do you keep yourself grounded? Like, what do you do like before a reading and then after a reading? Like, what do you do?
I was going to say my corporate role keeps me very grounded. Um,
Oh, I'm sure it does.
It really does, and I love it. But in terms of the way I ground, I love
Mm,
going for really long walks.
beautiful.
And one of the things that I do after 9 clients on a Saturday is jump into an Epsom salt bath with crystals, lavender, whatever I can find in front of me. And that really, I guess, energizes me and release
Mm,
any residual energy that I may have like captured throughout the day.
100%. Yeah.
Because we are empaths, and I do feel deeply, and I do feel a lot of people's pain when I sit through sessions. And sometimes it's harder to release that
Yeah.
than it would be if I was so, even though I'm quite resilient after doing it for such a long time, it is hard to release at times.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we're only human,
Yeah.
and from our human side, it's still quite hard because we're still, we're still quite conditioned in that area. Our soul is pure, and as a soul, we can release, but as a human, we still feel all the human things as well. So that's kind of what you and I battle between being spiritual and human at the same time, and trying to navigate the two. And we know what's right and wrong, and but we still go through those human experiences, and it's very normal as long as we know what we need to do. And what you're doing is absolutely beautiful. And I love the Epsom salt bath. I try to get that one out. That's just amazing to do. How do you deal with negativity?
Well, like I said, I try not to delve into negativity.
So as soon as you feel it, you pull
I
back.
put myself out. Yeah.
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
had days.
best thing to do.
I just feel like the world needs more positivity and more love in it.
100%. Yeah,
And so by feeding anything negative, you just get caught up in that mess. And so there's no real point. What service is it
yeah,
really if you get caught up in that? So you just walk away. People and everyone has their own perception.
yeah,
Right? And sometimes it can be great and other times maybe not so great, but that's
yeah.
okay. That's that individual person's perception.
Mm,
And it's
mm,
okay for them to have that.
yeah, absolutely.
Because again, everyone sees things differently. Not everyone's the same, which is a blessing.
100%. We don't need to be the same. No one is. And that you're right, that is the blessing, because that's why we're here to learn lessons. We attract, the opposite. Sometimes we learn, not sometimes, a lot of the time we learn from others. And, it's always a reason why we've attracted certain people into our lives. So I love that, for growth, for learning, for maturity, for all different reasons we do it. I was going to ask you, those who want to probably navigate more this area, what would you recommend for them to do if they want to delve more into their light worker side? Like, what would be your recommendation?
Yeah, there's a lots of literature
Yeah.
at the moment. So read, educate yourself. There's a lot, I mean, we're living through an incredible time of awakening at the moment. So there are more and more light workers coming to surface. More people are embracing this kind of work. More people are open to it. There's less judgment around it. So it's an incredible time to awaken and to really step forward. So educate yourself is one of the biggest things that I would recommend. And there's a lot of beautiful souls out there doing this kind of work and teaching it. So align with that vibration, the vibration that you're at. And I
Yeah.
just feel like you will align to who is right for you.
And you're right, the world has changed. And there is a reason why people are delving more into the spiritual world. So you'll notice that there's more than there was, as you would say, maybe 30 years ago, 50 years ago, 60. If you keep going back, it was probably more hidden. People didn't talk about it as much, but now the world needs it more. And, so I think people are trying to delve into it more and have more understanding. They probably see that the world isn't just 3D. There's so many more dimensions to the world that, the normal human eyes can't see. And once you start delving, it's a magical world out there. It just makes so much more sense, as you would probably agree. So, absolutely. Another question I have for you is, what is your favorite mantra?
I have a
I know,
few.
I know it's always like, oh, which one do I choose?
I have a few. My first one is don't limit yourself.
I like that. Don't
Yeah,
limit yourself, but don't burn yourself out.
I'm inclined to do that.
I know, that's why I had to throw that one in. I was pushed and nudged by spirit to throw that one in.
I'm
Don't burn
inclined to do
yourself
that.
out.
that, I know my limits. So I'm very, very intuitive. I know my body, I know my mind, and I know my limits. So when I know I need a break, I will stop and reset and recharge. And I know how to do that really well. But don't limit yourself is definitely my mantra. And say yes. Say yes. Like, we're given opportunities every single day. Say yes to what feels right.
Yeah. Who inspires you, Kat, to make you keep shining your light?
Oh, look, my inspiration is not from this realm. To be
I
honest,
want you to say it. Go.
my inspiration comes from the source and all the incredible um, I guess leaders that have come through the source and have walked this planet, including Christ and the Rose Line and anyone who has actually walked the planet, who has brought in this incredible light, is my inspiration.
Beautiful. I love that. Kat, you are amazing. You're absolutely phenomenal. If
Yeah.
anyone wants to find you, how can they find you?
Well, I'm all over Instagram, Katrina the Lightworker. I do have a website. If you just Google Katrina the Lightworker, you'll find me on there.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And thank you for your time. Sending you lots of love. Mwah.
Thank you, Alla.
And
Bless.
thank you. Thank you. And thank you for sharing your journey with the Soul Diary.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bless.